Hi guys, this is Terry Felty at Big Sticks Golf in Burlington, Massachusetts. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the driver. And before I even get started, let me preface this by saying that there are multiple ways of doing the golf swing. And as many of you know, if you've ever come in here and taken a lesson, you know that I don't teach a golf swing, I teach golfers. And golfers come in, multiple different sizes and shapes and range of motion and flexibility and physical limitations. So, if you're looking to get Dustin Johnson's swing, then you got to do all the stuff that Dustin Johnson does. Get your massages in, get your workouts in, watch your diet, hit your 400 or 500 balls a day. If you're not willing to do that, then you got to get a swing that works for you. It doesn't mean that you can't play great golf. It just means that you probably aren't going to have Dustin Johnson's swing. All right, so with that being said, let's get started here. All right, so as I approach a drive, the first thing I like to do is line up the club first. So I always aim my club first. Then I take my stance and get myself set. All right, so for me, I like to have the ball just off the inside of my left heel. I like to have a relatively wide stance with my feet slightly wider than my shoulders, and I like to have my feet flared out a little bit. I'm not looking for anything dramatic, maybe 25 degrees with the left foot or the front foot, and 10 to 15 degrees with my back foot. When I get myself completely set, get my grip, few little waggles, little bounces. This is pretty much my setup. I like to see my hands slightly outside my toes. I like to be able to see my left forearm slightly above my right forearm from the back. On the picture on the right, you'll notice that I am also tilted slightly to the right. Okay, so I got a little bit more weight on my right side, upper body spine tilt. All right, as I take this club back, I'm going to take it back in one piece as best I can, starting with my shoulders, then my hips. All right, you'll see that my body is moving even more to the right. This is a picture that I like to see. I like to see the club head come up just on the outside of my hands or just through my hands. All right, you'll notice that I am leaning to the right. You'll also notice that my head is moved to the right. Unless you have about 118 degrees of neck rotation, your head is going to have to move to the right. I want to see my weight leaning to the right. As I get to the top of the swing, one of the things that I'm always working on, I would like to have my shoulders tilted down just a little bit more so that my hands could get a little higher. But I've made about 45 degrees of hip turn and probably about 65 degrees of shoulder turn. All right, I can clearly see that my right shoulder is behind my head and my weight is pretty much loaded on my right now. The club is pretty close to parallel to my target line at the top of my backswing. I like that. Things that I'm working on, I'd love to see the shaft not be behind my head. I need a little bit better shoulder flexibility to get my hands a little higher. Okay? From here, this is the position that I'm usually looking for in a backswing. So as I start down, I'm just going to show you one full swing. As I start down on my swing, there's been a lot of talk about this lately in the squat. So now I'm going to start my movement down to the ball. There's a little bit of lowering with my lower body, but not much. I like to keep my legs relatively straight. There is a forward component to my shift, meaning I'm moving laterally, and you're going to notice my legs straighten pretty quick. I still have maintained my angle to the right. I'm not going to hit this ball, I'm just holding the positions, and you'll see that as I'm coming through now, I would, in a normal swing, I'd be releasing the club with my hands and rotating it through. But that's more the position I'm looking for. I'm not consciously turning my hips. All right? As I start to move forward, the weight pushes down into the ground with my left foot, which drives my body backwards, my lower body backwards, which lets my hips to turn, and then my upper body swings through. My hands release and rotate, and that will pull me up to a finish. All right, some of the things that I see that I don't like. People take it back more with their arms, and their right shoulder goes straight up in the air, and now they're going to start to tilt the other way. Now the weight is more on the left. If you watch the World Long Drive Championship that was just on, you'll notice that you saw a lot of guys really expand their chest up and also had a little bit of this backward tilt. Right? It does give you a little bit more height in your hands and more loading in your upper body, but it's also going to tend to cause you to come over the top of the ball and pull it. And as a golfer, I'm looking to hit the occasional fairway. As a long driver, those guys are looking to hit it as far as they can. So they need maximum distance and hope they get it in the grid. All right, so they wouldn't necessarily lean this far to the left, but their upper body would rise a little bit more. So I don't like that one. I don't like people that pull it up with their arms way to the outside. That's going to tend to lead to the same position. So now you see my upper body is rising, the club's going to get way back, the arms are swinging, and this is just going to be too hard to recover from. Right? The opposite of that are the people that you see just snatch the club right back to the inside. And that tends to, because your arms are just pulling back to the inside, tends to make you over-rotate. There's no way to shift. The right leg straightens. And the club gets to be very flat. All right, not what I'm looking for. So what we're looking for is the upper body moves to the right. The club comes up through your hands, full shoulder turn, and try to get that club as close to parallel to the target line as you can at the top of your swing. Okay, now from this position, what are we doing? All right, the most common issue that I see is that once people get to the top of the backswing, they're not sure how to get started down. So, you know, we all have heard that you got to fire your hips, got to clear your hips and get your hips out of the way. So a lot of times what that translates into is people get back here, they get to a good spot, and now they're just going to rotate their hips. And that's going to tend to leave you on your back foot. Your weight is traveling backwards, and now the club's going to come down on the outside of the ball. Not what we're looking for. Okay? There's always a forward component to it or a move to the left. All right? The other one that's been very prevalent lately is the big squat. So this is where you see the guys squatting down, and they're really going to explode up to get through the shot. So you see him squat way down. This is your Justin Thomas. This is your Roy McIlroy. These guys are loading the weight onto the toes, onto the balls of their feet. They're going to squat down, and now they're going to explode straight up kind of into the air. And that's going to snap the club down through the ball. All right? If you can do that, it's certainly a power source. It will make it go fast, but there is a timing, a big timing aspect to this. What they're trying to do is somehow make themselves taller. All right, they're using gravity to pull their hands down to make their swing just longer and taller. I personally prefer to keep my legs straighter, so not as much squat, and just use the leverage that I have. That's why I'm always trying to get my arms and my shoulders to be more flexible, to get my hands higher on the backswing so I can get more leverage coming down. You'll see that when I hit it, my left leg is stable and straight, and that's what I'm hitting against. All right, as we're coming through the ball, impact. And if you guys have ever been here before, you know that I always say that the only part you have to be good is impact. All right, and this is where we're bringing the club in and we're releasing the hands. I'm letting it rotate over. People are often nervous about how you're going to hit the ball. Well, that is the fast point in the swing. That's where the club head is accelerating through the ball. We want that club closing through the ball as we strike it. And then my arms will pull me up to a finish from that position. Okay, a drill to help you work on this. It's just to hold the club straight out in front of you, parallel to the ground. You're going to let your right hand relax, and you're going to pull the butt end of the club up toward the ceiling and let your hand snap over. Alright, so I'm just going to pull the butt end up toward the ceiling and let my hands rotate over. Just to get that feeling of keeping the arm straight and rotating the hands. There's also a timing aspect to that, and this is why the driver is the hardest to hit. That was too quick. Even I missed that one. Here we go. Okay, guys, I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at Big Sticks. You can always check us out on the web at bigsticksgolf.com. Thanks for watching.